A roofer climbed down off the ladder, looked at the rust streaking down the old metal roof, and said the words that cost homeowners a fortune. It's done. You're looking at $10,000 to $20,000 to tear it off and start over. And most people just write the check, because what else are you going to do? You can't exactly leave the rain coming in. But here's what that roofer left out. A metal roof almost never fails all at once. It fails in a few small spots at the seams and around the screws, while the rest of the panel has decades of life left in it. And for the price of a couple of gallons of coating, you can stop that failure cold. The old barns prove it every single day. So why is tearing the whole thing off always the first answer? Let's follow the money. Because the answer is sitting right there in the quote. A full tear-off and replacement on an average house runs $10,000 to $20,000 and up depending on the size and the pitch. A crew is on your roof for days. There's the tear-off labor, the dumpster, the new panels, the new fasteners, and markup on every bit of it. That is a real payday. Now set that next to the honest fix, which is a few $100s in materials and a weekend of your own time. No roofing company makes a living recommending the few $100 option. Maintenance does not feed a crew the way a tear-off does. So when somebody whose paycheck depends on replacement tells you that replacement is the only choice, you are not getting a diagnosis. You are getting a sales pitch with a ladder. And the part that should make you angry is that the metal up there is usually still good steel. You would be paying to throw away a roof that has years left in it. But the contractor's generation forgot something your grandfather's generation. New cold, you don't replace a metal roof, you maintain it. Drive past any old farm and you'll see barn roofs that have been up there 50, 60 years, still keeping the hay dry. Those roofs didn't survive because the steel was special. They survived because somebody went up there every few years with a brush and a bucket and dealt with the rust before it could win. Farmers couldn't afford to re-roof a barn every time it grew a few streaks, so they did what frugal people have always done. They protected what they already had. They primed the bare spots, they sealed the seams, and they put a fresh coat over the top. That was the whole system, and it cost a few dollars in an afternoon. Every time they did it, it bought another decade. So what is the fix exactly? It comes in two cheap parts, and the first one is almost fun to watch. It's a rust converter. You brush it onto the rusty spots, and instead of scraping and grinding and fighting the rust, you change it. The chemistry is simple. The converter reacts with the iron oxide, that orange flaky stuff, and turns it into a stable, dark, lockdown surface that stops spreading. You can actually see it happen. The rust goes from orange and crumbly to black and solid as it sets. Now the rust isn't eating your roof anymore. It's just sitting there, neutralized, ready to be sealed over. That's part one. Part two is the coating, and that is the piece that makes the whole roof last for decades. But to understand why a few bucks of coating beats a $20,000 replacement, you have to know what actually kills a metal roof, and it almost never starts where you'd think. A metal roof does not leak because the panel wears out in the middle. The flat field of the panel is the toughest part of the whole roof. Roofs leak at the joints. They leak where two panels overlap, and they leak around every single screw, because every screw is a hole punched through your roof with a little rubber washer that dries out and cracks over the years. That's the real enemy. So the second part of the fix is an elastomeric coating, which is really just a thick, flexible, rubbery paint. You roll it on and it dries into one continuous waterproof skin across the entire roof. It floods into the seams and wraps over every screw head, sealing the exact spots where the water was getting in. A gallon runs somewhere around $30 to $80 and covers a good stretch of roof, so the cost on any one problem spot is a couple of dollars at most. But the coating does something smarter than just sealing. Most of these products are bright white, and white reflects the sun instead of soaking it up. A bare metal roof bakes in the afternoon, expanding in the heat, then shrinking back down at night over and over. And that constant movement is what works the seams loose and backs the screws out in the first place. Coat it white, and the metal stays cooler and calmer. It moves less, so the seams stay tight, the fasteners stay put, and the leaks never get a chance to start. You are not just patching the roof, you are stopping the thing that was breaking it. So here is how it actually goes, start to finish, and none of it is complicated. First you clean, sweep off the leaves and the dirt, and hit the rusty areas with a wire brush to knock loose anything flaky. You want a sound surface, not a perfect one. Second, deal with the fasteners while you're up there, because they matter more than people realize. Any screw that's backed out or spinning, drive it back down, and if the hole is stripped, swap in a slightly larger screw with a fresh rubber washer. Third, brush the rust converter onto every rusty spot and let it do its work, then prime any bare metal you exposed. Fourth, the main event. Roll the elastomeric coating across the whole roof and then go back over every seam and every screw head with a second, heavier pass. Those joints are where your money lives, so that's where the coating goes on thick. Let it cure and you are finished. Then every several years, you climb back up and lay on a fresh coat to keep the skin intact, exactly the way the old farmers did. That's it. A weekend and a few $100s instead of a 5-figure check. Now I can already hear the pushback, so let's be straight about it. If this is so simple, why doesn't everyone do it? Two reasons. One, the people you'd naturally call are the same people who profit from the bigger job, and two, a coating only works if you prep it right. Skip the cleaning, slap it over loose rust and damp metal, and yes, it will peel, and then somebody will swear up and down that coatings don't work. They work. Lazy prep doesn't. But here is the honest limit, and it's an important one. This fixes surface rust and seals good metal. It does not rebuild a roof that has already rotted through. If you can see daylight through it, if there are real holes and the steel has gone thin and crunchy, those sections have to be repaired or replaced first. Coating is protection, not resurrection, and one thing matters more than any of the rest. Getting up on a roof is genuinely dangerous. Falls are no joke, especially on a steep or slick metal surface. If you are not steady up there, there is no shame at all in hiring the work out. The point of knowing all of this isn't to send you climbing blind. It's so that when someone hands you a $20,000 tear-off quote, you know enough to ask the one question that saves you a fortune. What would it cost to just clean it, treat the rust, and coat it instead? So now you know. A metal roof dies at the seams and the screws, not the steel, and a few dollars of coating can buy it decades. Now tell me in the comments, how old is your metal roof? And has anybody got one past 40 years still going strong? I want to hear how you kept it alive. And if you'd rather maintain what you've got than get talked into a tear-off, hit subscribe.